Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to our channel Mysterious Untold Books. Introduction. At 58, Carolyn Lee Arnold stood at a crossroads that many midlife women face. Professionally successful, emotionally evolved, yet romantically unattached after ending a 7-year relationship with Peter, her Buddhist beach boy partner who chose wanderlust over commitment. Rather than retreat into resignation or settle for less than she deserved, Arnold embarked on an audacious quest that would challenge conventional wisdom about dating after 50. Armed with the statistical mind of a researcher and the wisdom gleaned from years of personal growth workshops, she designed what she called the 50 First Dates Project, a systematic approach to finding love that would take her through 2.5 years of adventures, heartbreaks, revelations, and ultimately, transformation. Arnold's journey offers readers a fascinating glimpse into 3 essential aspects of midlife romance and self-discovery. Through her methodical yet heartfelt approach to dating, we witness the power of treating love as both an art and a science, complete with hypotheses to test and data to gather. Her story reveals how the landscape of mature relationships has evolved, particularly within alternative communities that embrace polyamory, conscious communication, and spiritual sexuality. Most importantly, Arnold's narrative demonstrates that finding authentic love requires not just the courage to put oneself out there repeatedly, but the wisdom to recognize what we truly want versus what we think we should want. Chapter 1. The Dating Project begins, a quest for partnership. The genesis of Arnold's dating project emerged from a conversation with her friend Kate at an Oakland farmer's market, where the two women dissected the remains of Arnold's relationship with Peter. Despite their deep connection and 7 years together, Peter's commitment to non-attachment and his desire to travel indefinitely had created an insurmountable gap between his Buddhist philosophy and Arnold's growing desire for a true partnership. Kate's pointed observation that Arnold had been getting pretty bored with him forced her to confront an uncomfortable truth. Even ideal relationships can outgrow their original parameters. The number 50 wasn't chosen arbitrarily. Drawing on her background as a statistician, Arnold understood that meaningful patterns require adequate sample sizes. Just as she had viewed over 100 houses before finding her perfect Oakland bungalow, she reasoned that 50 dates would provide sufficient data to determine whether someone better than Peter existed. The methodology was both romantic and scientific. She would systematically explore different types of men while remaining open to unexpected connections. Arnold's initial dating pool drew heavily from the Human Awareness Institute, a Bay Area organization offering workshops on love, intimacy, and sexuality. This wasn't mere convenience. It had fundamentally shaped her approach to relationships over the previous decade. Through intensive weekend workshops at retreat centers, she had learned to communicate boundaries clearly, appreciate others without judgment, and most importantly, love herself. The community provided not just potential dates but a shared language of emotional intelligence and conscious relating. The project's early phases revealed both the promise and perils of systematic dating. Arnold's first encounter with Randy, her neighbor, illustrated how even promising connections could falter on fundamental incompatibilities. His expectation of immediate monogamy clashed with her need to continue exploring while dating. Yet each interaction provided valuable data points about her evolving preferences and non-negotiables. What distinguished Arnold's approach from typical midlife dating was her refusal to lower her standards or settle for companionship over passion. She maintained clear boundaries about sexual health and emotional availability while remaining genuinely curious about each person's unique qualities. This balance between discernment and openness would prove crucial as she navigated increasingly complex emotional terrain. The project structure also served a deeper psychological purpose. It protected her heart from the devastating blow of any single rejection while building confidence through accumulated experiences. Each date became less about finding the one and more about understanding herself and refining her vision of partnership. This shift from scarcity mindset to abundance thinking would prove transformative as the project progressed. Chapter 2: Touch and Connection, Exploring Physical Intimacy. Arnold's exploration of physical intimacy revealed the complex dance between desire and discernment that characterize mature sexuality. Unlike younger daters driven primarily by passion, she approached physical connection with the wisdom of someone who understood that touch could be both profoundly meaningful and refreshingly uncomplicated. Her experiences ranged from the tender foot massage that Brad provided in his country home to the adventurous roadside encounter with Homer, demonstrating that physical chemistry operates on multiple frequencies. The air workshops had taught Arnold to appreciate the full spectrum of touch, from reverent face-stroking exercises to clothing-optional hot springs experiences. This education proved invaluable as she navigated relationships with men like Ben, 20 years her junior, whose sexual vitality reminded her that age differences could dissolve in the presence of genuine affection. Their connection transcended conventional boundaries. He provided the consistent physical intimacy she craved, while understanding that their relationship served a specific purpose in her larger journey. Arnold's encounters at Marco's sensual parties revealed how alternative communities had redefined the relationship between sex and commitment. The warm pool ceremonies, with their combination of spiritual ritual and physical exploration, offered opportunities for connection that honored both desire and safety. These experiences challenged mainstream assumptions about appropriate behavior for women over 50, as Arnold embraced her sexuality without shame or apology. The relationship with Homer exemplified how physical chemistry could coexist with emotional clarity. Their initial encounter at a Tonto workshop led to passionate roadside adventures that fulfilled Arnold's fantasies while respecting his primary partnership with Janice. This arrangement required sophisticated emotional management, enjoying intense physical connection while protecting her heart from attachments that couldn't lead to partnership. Arnold's approach to physical intimacy was notably free from the guilt and confusion that often plague midlife dating. She distinguished clearly between lovers who served different functions. Ben provided consistent affection and sexual fulfillment. Homer offered adventure and erotic intensity. Others contributed companionship or emotional support. This clarity allowed her to receive what each connection offered without demanding more than it could provide. The integration of sexuality and spirituality that characterized many of her encounters reflected the Bay Area's unique cultural landscape. Partners like Ray, whom she met at a Valentine's Day pool ceremony, understood that sexual connection could be both sacred and temporary. This perspective freed Arnold from the binary thinking that typically governs dating, either serious relationship or casual encounter, creating space for experiences that were deeply meaningful without being permanent. Chapter 3: Hope and Heartbreak, Navigating Dating Challenges. The emotional topography of Arnold's dating journey revealed the particular vulnerabilities that emerge when hope repeatedly encounters disappointment. Her attraction to Tawoti, the spiritual businessman who offered tantalizing glimpses of emotional depth through morning phone calls about work challenges, demonstrated how mature daters can become entranced by partial connections. Their relationship existed primarily in the liminal space of possibility, intimate conversations that felt like relationship building but led nowhere concrete. Arnold's pattern of attraction to emotionally unavailable men reflected a common midlife dating trap: the tendency to project idealized partnership onto individuals who offer only fragments of what we truly need. Timothy's combination of intelligence and emotional withholding triggered her pursuit, while his occasional moments of genuine connection kept her hooked despite clear signals that he couldn't provide the partnership she sought. The devastating rejection by Dale, the therapist who seemed perfect on paper but withdrew after their promising May-now walk, illustrated how quickly hope can transform into heartbreak. His decision to trust his instincts over giving the connection time to develop left Arnold questioning her attractiveness as a partner. This experience highlighted the particular cruelty of being rejected by someone who seemed to match her criteria: education, spirituality, emotional awareness, for reasons that remain mysterious. Arnold's resilience in the face of repeated disappointments revealed the project's deeper purpose, building emotional strength through accumulated experience. Each rejection stung, but none proved devastating because the project itself provided forward momentum. The knowledge that she would continue dating regardless of any individual outcome created a buffer against despair while forcing her to examine her patterns of attraction. The relationship with Gregory, the mortgage broker from the Spirit Rock Meditation Group, represented perhaps her most painful awakening to the gap between longing and reality. His combination of traditional values and recent financial struggles created insurmountable obstacles, yet Arnold's heart refused to accept what her mind understood clearly. Their sexual connection only complicated matters, intensifying her attachment to someone who couldn't be her partner. These experiences taught Arnold crucial lessons about the difference between chemistry and compatibility. Physical attraction and even emotional resonance weren't sufficient foundations for partnership if fundamental life circumstances or values remained misaligned. Learning to honor these insights while keeping her heart open to genuine possibilities became one of the project's most valuable outcomes. Chapter 4: Longing and Self-Discovery. Learning through relationships. Arnold's deepest learning emerged not from her most successful dates but from her most confusing attractions. Her prolonged entanglement with Timothy revealed how intelligent, self-aware people could still find themselves pursuing connections that offered more fantasy than substance. The intimacy of their morning phone conversations created an illusion of relationship that felt more real than many of her actual dates, demonstrating how emotional connection could exist independently of physical presence or practical compatibility. The realization that she was projecting her own desires onto unavailable men forced Arnold to examine the difference between wanting someone and wanting the feeling they evoked. Timothy's rare moments of emotional engagement triggered such profound longing because they offered glimpses of the deep intimacy she craved. However, his inability to sustain that level of connection meant she was essentially falling in love with her own projected fantasy rather than the actual person. Arnold's attraction to married men like Joy initially puzzled her, but gradually revealed important truths about her relationship needs. These men often possessed emotional sophistication and sexual confidence that came from years of partnership, making them more attractive than genuinely single men who might be available but less evolved. This pattern suggested that she was drawn to the qualities that emerge from successful long-term relationships, rather than to unavailability itself. The summer retreat experiment with polyamory provided crucial insights about her capacity for multiple connections. Her arrangement with Durrell as a primary partner and Galen as secondary revealed that she could indeed thrive in non-traditional relationship structures. The experience of having her emotional needs met by one person, while maintaining freedom to explore with others, felt more natural than the monogamous dating she had been attempting. Arnold's growing self-awareness included recognizing her own emotional patterns and triggers. Her tendency to pursue men who offered intellectual stimulation but remained emotionally distant mirrored her parents' relationship dynamic. Her father's financial success and emotional reserve had created a template that she unconsciously sought to heal through romantic connections with similarly withholding men. The relationship class she attended during a particularly discouraging phase helped Arnold articulate her actual desires rather than what she thought she should want. Creating a detailed vision of her ideal partnership forced her to acknowledge that she valued independence and adventure as much as intimacy and commitment. This clarity would prove essential when she finally encountered someone who matched her authentic preferences, rather than her inherited assumptions about relationships. Chapter 5: The Poly Experiment, Redefining Partnership. Arnold's exploration of polyamory at the Oregon Summer Retreat represented a pivotal moment in understanding her authentic relationship preferences. Her arrangement with Durrell as primary partner and Galen as secondary challenged every assumption she held about monogamy and partnership. The experience revealed that she could maintain deep emotional connection with one person while freely exploring physical and emotional intimacy with others, provided all parties understood and supported the arrangement. The retreat's culture of radical honesty and sexual openness created a perfect laboratory for this experiment. Arnold's declaration during the community check-in, announcing her poly experiment to the entire group, marked a turning point in her willingness to live authentically rather than according to societal expectations. The supportive response from the community validated her choice to explore unconventional relationship structures. Durrell's generous encouragement of her connection with Galen exemplified the kind of partnership Arnold had unconsciously been seeking. His ability to celebrate her other relationships rather than feel threatened by them offered a model of secure attachment that allowed freedom within commitment. When he enthusiastically sent her off to spend the night with Galen, Arnold experienced what it felt like to be loved without possessiveness. The physical and emotional intimacy she shared with both men during the retreat felt more satisfying than any monogamous dating she had experienced. With Durrell providing passionate sexual connection and Galen offering gentle companionship, Arnold's different needs were met by partners who specialized in different forms of intimacy. This arrangement felt more honest than expecting one person to fulfill every aspect of her complex desires. The retreat also awakened Arnold's ability to experience tantric energy, the flowing connection between heart and sexual chakras that had previously eluded her. Sitting between Durrell and Galen during the morning gathering, she finally felt the energy running through her body that Anna and other experienced practitioners had described. This breakthrough came from having multiple loving connections supporting her rather than depending on a single romantic partner. However, the return to regular life revealed the practical limitations of her retreat partners. Durrell's location in Portland and different educational background made him unsuitable for long-term partnership despite their sexual compatibility. Galen's existing relationship with his Seattle partner meant Arnold would always be secondary in his affections. The retreat had shown her what kind of relationship structure she wanted, but not yet provided the actual person who could offer it. Chapter 6, Revelations and Transformation, the Final Dates. As Arnold approached the end of her dating project, the quality of her connections began to shift dramatically. Her encounter with Steve, the David Data-influenced dancer, represented both her growing sophistication as a dater and a narrowing gap between her fantasies and reality. His expectation that she would serve as a mirror for his masculine development revealed how some personal growth communities had codified rather than transcended traditional gender dynamics. The sex party with Blair offered Arnold a glimpse of the emotionally present, sexually generous partner she had been seeking. His ability to hold space for her vulnerability while providing exquisite physical pleasure demonstrated the integration of heart and sexuality that she craved. Blair's willingness to see and appreciate her independent, post-lesbian nature without trying to change it showed Arnold what unconditional acceptance felt like. Blair's insight about her lesbian energy, the independent, self-reliant quality she had cultivated during her 18 years identifying as lesbian, provided a crucial piece of self-understanding. For the first time, Arnold could see how the very strength she was most proud of might be creating barriers to the intimate partnership she desired. This recognition allowed her to begin integrating her independence with her longing for deep connection. The accumulated wisdom from 48 dates had taught Arnold to recognize authentic connection when it appeared. Her ability to distinguish between chemistry based on projection and chemistry based on genuine compatibility had become finely tuned. She could now identify the difference between men who offered partial solutions to her longing and those who might actually match her complex requirements. Arnold's growing clarity about her authentic desires, rather than what she thought she should want, represented the project's most valuable outcome. The realization that she wanted both commitment and freedom, both independence and intimacy, both spiritual connection and erotic adventure, helped her recognize that her ideal partner would need to be equally complex and evolved. The approaching milestone of her 60th birthday added urgency to Arnold's search while also providing perspective on what truly mattered. The Greece trip she planned as a birthday gift to herself represented both an endpoint to the formal dating project and a new beginning. Whether she traveled alone or with a partner, the journey would mark her transition from seeker to someone ready to receive what she had been seeking. Chapter 7. Finding True Connection, the Greek Island Adventure. Arnold's encounter with Joy represented the convergence of everything she had learned about herself and relationships during the previous 2 years. Unlike her attraction to unavailable men like Timothy or Gregory, her connection with Joy felt grounded in mutual availability and genuine compatibility. His combination of intelligence, emotional presence, and adventurous spirit matched her evolved understanding of what she actually wanted rather than what she thought she should want. The Greece trip served as both culmination and beginning, the perfect setting for Arnold to experience partnership with someone who truly matched her energy and vision. Joy's decision to extend his stay from 1 week to 2 revealed his own recognition that something significant was happening between them. His willingness to invest in expensive accommodations and elaborate adventures demonstrated the kind of generosity and abundance mindset that Arnold had been seeking. Their Menon blessing ceremony at Knossos revealed how naturally they could create sacred meaning together. Joy's immediate understanding of Arnold's fantasy and his willingness to participate fully showed the kind of spiritual and creative partnership she had envisioned. The ancient king and queen's blessing felt like validation from the universe that their connection was meant to flourish. The integration of commitment and freedom that characterized their relationship offered Arnold the perfect solution to her apparent contradictions. Joy's encouragement of her final date with Dmitri, the Greek islander, demonstrated his understanding that their connection was secure enough to allow exploration. This generosity of spirit contrasted sharply with the possessiveness she had encountered from monogamous dates who expected exclusive claim after a single encounter. Arnold's recognition of Joy as her 50th date, even though she never formally completed the numerical goal, reflected her understanding that the project's true purpose had been fulfilled. She had found not just any partner, but the specific kind of partnership that honored all aspects of her complex personality. Joy's combination of traditional masculine confidence and new age emotional sophistication created the exact blend she had been unconsciously seeking. The amethyst ring Joy presented in their Crete hotel room symbolized the kind of commitment Arnold could embrace, meaningful and intentional without being possessive or conventional. His declaration that he was in for the whole thing offered the security she needed while respecting the independence she treasured. Their relationship would be their own creation, rather than conformity to societal expectations. Thank you for listening. Audiobook by Mysterious Untold Books.